Hi, we are Lado, and we are the ministry here in Portugal that serves Christian workers, that's missionaries and pastors and their families from all over Europe and North Africa. And we're here basically to provide a space that is here for them to rest and be restored and just to get closer to God. And so I'm Josh.
Jason.
Kim.
Risa.
Amrei.
So one of the things we hear a lot from people is how disconnected they feel from community, from their connections back home. You know, at home we have churches and women's groups and gym friends and work friends and all of that. And when you first move to a new country, to a new place, you kind of lose all of that. And so where do you go for your support, for your personal support, for your emotional support? And so that's something we hear a lot. From guests and things I hear a lot in my practice is just how difficult it is to kind of feel like you're starting from scratch and really just not having anyone to talk with or connect with about life or to connect with about ministry. It's something we kind of, I think, take for granted back home. And then you get here.
Then, especially as a man, it's hard to make, it's okay to make a friend, but it's hard to get a friend that's deep enough that you can actually do something heart to heart with.
Right. It's very true.
Yeah.
Well, and you add on the language and everything too, of just trying to, like, if you don't speak the language or you don't even know where the resources are, how to get to them and stuff, because that's even, I know what to do back in the States if something happens, but here, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, man, I got to figure this out. And so daily life in general becomes more difficult. So then what happens when people can't get the help? What happens when they burn out? I mean, I just, if you think about, like, if a Christian worker burns out on the field, ends up leaving, going back to, wherever their home is and not being able to continue, I mean, think about what that does to the community that they're in. Think about the church that they're in, like whatever people that they were discipling, people that they were going to evangelize to.
And even if you were wanting to replace them, it takes, 2 to 3 years to get somebody fundraised and get connections to get
all the preparation
visas,
and
the preparation to replace them. It would take years to get somebody there.
Monetary resources just to train somebody from scratch all the way to replace, just to get them to the point where this person was.
Exactly.
And then they've got to redevelop relationships, maybe build a church up that's collapsed because they left. Yeah, it's just huge.
And with discipleship, you can't just pass a person to somebody else.
No, that's totally
true. It takes years to build up the trust, and then, hey, you take over now.
Right. Or just learning a new language. Takes a couple of years. So somebody starting fresh on the new language, just to even get close to that heart level conversation.
Right. Yeah, that's at least a 5-year turnaround. Right. If you lost somebody.
Yeah. And so it's crucial. I mean, that's what I would say is that, it's crucial to keep the people healthy, well, on the field,
Otherwise, there's this massive hole that's left, and usually a cascading effect of everything that they were a part of that then is missing pieces.
And as a counselor, I would imagine that you see a lot of things that can be turned back around very easily.
Right.
They're not.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that if there was just someone walking alongside them from the beginning, it doesn't even have to necessarily be like significant crisis or help, just those things like we talked about, support in the dailiness of life. But what happens is they don't have that support, and so they just kind of stuff and don't think about it, don't worry about it until it becomes to the point where you can't turn it back around. And that's one of the things we want to affect is having what we would call preventative care so that we don't reach that point where it can't. But so much of it, maybe not necessarily preventable, but it, just like you said, it can be turned around. It can be shifted in a good direction if they have the support that they need.
The problem is if people on the field get burnout, they come home, they feel like they failed. And so if we can provide a space that's still like in the continent or even in the country where they live, they can go and get rest, and there's not the expectations that they visit all the home churches when they take their break or even have a sabbatical time or something like that.
There's no rest and relaxation when missionaries go back home because they have to go see all their support churches. They have family, they have friends, they don't end up getting that needed time of rest because they have so much that they should be doing.
Yeah, I just remember this single missionary coming from an Eastern European country, and she was coming out of a very, very stressful and traumatic situation, and just to be here in the house, and I had all the Christmas decorations out, and she was so, you could really tell how she, peace took over her heart, and looking at all this and just enjoying being able to do some more crafts and just hang out and not have to talk, but be allowed to talk. So that was kind of, no pressure, but sharing life, doing everything and just enjoying beauty. For her, she hasn't seen much beauty over the last month.
See a lot. Even we had one family this last year, really large family, and they had been through several like major transitions and some trauma, and like they didn't have time to take care of the marriage or even the family. Like all of them were just in survival mode. And when you're doing full-time ministry and kids are in school and life, like you can't necessarily take care of those things. And so one of the things they said when we were here, they're like they had forgotten to how to even just talk to one another kindly, like as a family should. They were just completely in survival mode. And so it's really neat when we have the opportunity, like really as a team, you know, some of the staff would be with the kids so I could do some marriage work with the parents, and then we would also do work all together as a family. I have some debriefing games and things that we do and got them really involved, and when they left they said, you know, it just felt like they'd been given the chance to just completely reset.
Because marriage takes work, and they don't usually get that because the mission takes so much work that gets, I would imagine, swept to the side and put on the back burner. Yeah, and that's hard.
Yeah.
More and more though, we're getting requests for 2 weeks or a month or longer where people are really needing a place they can just relax and breathe and really decompress before they can even start to talk about what's been happening. And right now there's so few places that can do that. And
so we'd love anywhere from like 6 to 10 bedrooms. If we could do more, that'd be fantastic. But someplace that, again, we could have folks that could stay long term. So, and if we could have some separate quarters where, you know, maybe there's like an apartment and everything where, you know, a long-term family could stay for like a month or 2 months. And then we could have more, you know, hotel, dorm room-ish places where people can stay for, you know, a week or 2 weeks and everything as well.
We'd love to be able to have a little bit more space and a little bit more staff so that we can make sure that each member of a family that comes in gets their needs met, whether it be counseling or time for a date, like you said, for the couple, or that the kids can learn how to just be kids and play again. So.
Your financial gift will help us to purchase a place like this. With 10 bedrooms, it would allow large families and teams to come and get the rest and the support that they need. It would provide a place for workers to take a sabbatical for a month or two. Your gift would impact hundreds of Christian workers throughout the world.